Hello all. Last week I warned about a new zero-day in Microsoft SharePoint on-premises that had just become public knowledge. It escalated quickly, not necessarily with threat actor activity, but with news articles and cyber professionals everywhere urging action. With potentially tens of thousands of vulnerable targets, it looked like it would be a free-for-all. However, it seems that only a few Chinese advanced persistent threat actors got in on the action before patches started getting deployed. The last number that I heard was that only 400 or so SharePoint servers were known to have been exploited. Now, that's not to say it wasn't bad with some high-profile targets getting hit, but it could have been much worse. Now, if not for the SharePoint news, it actually would have been a somewhat quiet news week for a change, with only the normal level of interesting and evil happening out in the world and reported in the interwebs. This video commentary is from the RedDotSecurity.news website, and it contains a plethora of links to items that are not mentioned here that are worth skimming to see if they interest you or pertain to your particular environment or of those you support. There's a lot more than what's provided in these opening comments. So, on to the headline news. Microsoft SharePoint Server on-premises has a lovely defect that allows for remote code unauthenticated attackers to modify code. There are several article links in our headline news that go into more detail. However, this is what it sounds like. A threat actor can gain access to a server and eventually get full control over it. An emergency patch is now available, and if you have an on-premises SharePoint server, you're urged to apply it as soon as possible and then check for signs of compromise. SonicWall has identified a critical remote code execution defect in some of their SMA 100 series of VPN appliances. If you have an SMA 210, 410, or 500V, you're urged to upgrade to firmware version 10.2.2.1-90SV or higher before threat actors begin exploiting this defect. If any exploitation is suspected, contact SonicWall for mitigation guidance. Clorox is suing their former outsourced service desk, Cognizant, for simply handing over credentials to a threat actor when asked. In 2023, Clorox suffered a scattered spider attack that ultimately ended up costing them $380 million in recovery and loss of business. There are recordings of the threat actors calling into the service desk that clearly reveal how spectacularly Cognizant failed in protecting Clorox account security. Quote, "I don't have a password, so I can't connect," end quote, the hacker says in one call. The agent replies, quote, "Oh, okay. So let me provide the password for you, okay?" Close quote. For their part, Cognizant has said, quote, "Clorox hired Cognizant for a narrow scope of help desk services, which Cognizant reasonably performed. Cognizant did not manage security for Clorox," end quote. I'm sorry, but I disagree. It seems to me that not following documented, established verification procedures and handing the keys to the kingdom to anyone who asks isn't reasonable. It's negligence. VMware perpetual license clients were promised by Broadcom CEO Hock Tan, stating that clients would have, quote, "free access to zero-day security patches for supported versions of vSphere," end quote, so customers, quote, "are able to use perpetual licenses in a safe and secure fashion," end quote. There have been 11 zero-day and high-severity defects revealed in the past few months, and despite asking for the patches, perpetual license holders are mired in Broadcom red tape and have not been provided with the needed patches. Some have been waiting since May, only to be told that, quote, "a separate patch delivery cycle will also be available for non-entitled customers and will follow at a later date," end quote. Now, what that nebulous date may be is anyone's guess, since Broadcom hasn't provided any additional information. Threat actors, for the most part, are based on the other side of the world and tend to attack when most of the Western world is asleep or at least done with their working day. That got me to thinking about a very neglected and overlooked feature of Active Directory that has existed forever: logon hours. I think it's high time that setting and enforcing logon hours becomes standard practice in organizations. There would be two immediate benefits resulting from this one simple action. Employees would truly be off the clock when their shift expires. Talk about restoring work-life balance. You are physically unable to log in until your scheduled working hours come up. and threat actors would be stymied because their attempts to access accounts outside of working hours would be met with failure. This would force their activity into the working day when more cyber defenders are present, which would result in better defense, a win for employees and for security overall. Keep the shields up.